I traveled around the world and I couldn't get rid of the depression that I have had for months. Then I understood that my problem wasn't about the boys or the relationships. It was about me.
Bring your imagination to life with inspiring stories of an incredible and very real world.
Have you ever loved more than one person at the same time? I loved. Have you ever been rejected by them at the same time? I've been. However, still continue to let them be a part of your life. I did. And it caused an everlasting depression for me. I kept in touch with my Finnish boy after coming from Finland. Yet I knew that for a long time I haven't been able to see him. On the other hand, my desire to let him go led me to go back to my Turkish crush again. But it didn't work either, because our expectations were different. I think I just wanted to be loved by someone at that moment. That's why as soon as being rejected by one of them, I tried to go back to the other. On the other hand, I couldn't curb my desire to see my Finnish boy again. That's why I tried to find ways to see him one more time, which led me to end up in a flight to Germany. There is a Turkish idiom, kendi kendine gelin güvey olmak, whose hardly translation into English is, recon without one's host. I was basically doing this. After returning to my home from Finland, I started searching cheap flights and I found one from Poland. However, what's the cheapest way to travel to Poland? Oh yeah, I could travel from Germany! Thank you. See, I'm not the dumbest person in the world. And you can always find a cheap flight between Turkey and Germany. Thus, I booked one in January 2018. But guys, really, you can't plan such things speaking for someone else. Believe me. My Finnish boy didn't know that I planned my Europe trip to see him again. And when I asked him, just one day before my trip, whether he wanted me to travel to Finland from Poland, he said, nothing, I guess. To be honest, I don't remember at all. Because the whole conversation evolved into something else. I was asking, if I had come to Finland earlier, would it change anything between us? And he was like, no, you and I will never be together. But if I start living in Finland, then will you be with me? No, you and I will never be together. And the conversation just continued like this. I kept asking every possible question to see a light in that unrequited love. But the answer was always the same. No, you and I will never be together. But I went to Germany anyway. It was a little bit funny because it was kind of a plane that you can't watch anything for 3 hours. Thus, people sitting on my both sides wanted to chat. But I was sitting in the middle, crying. When I stopped crying, they start chatting to each other. Then, when I started crying again, they basically froze. One time, among my crying session, I even asked for a pen from the guy next to me to solve some math problems on the plane because I was just too bored, you know. I think they might think that I was afraid of flying or I was just out of my tree. But my trip was so nice. I traveled to Munich and Berlin from Germany, Salzburg, Warsaw, Krakow, and Prague. Oh, I fell in love with Prague. It was on my way to Poland, and in the beginning I didn't have will to see it. But I love it. I definitely love it, guys. I loved its vampirish Gothic architecture. I would live in Prague and write a lot of Gothic stories there. In addition, the first thing I saw when I entered the city was a naked sauna party poster. And I was like, I want to join that party because I loved those kind of stuff. I couldn't do it in Prague, but when I was in Finland, I went to a sauna naked with my friends. We were 3 boys and 4 girls, and every friend of mine was sitting whilst I was standing up in front of them. We were drinking beer and chatting. Then I was asked why I didn't sit down, and I was like, yeah, why not? Taking a step to ascend the small ladder, I tripped and I spilled all of my beer over one of my male friends' penis. And once you split something, you immediately look at it. But at that moment, even my friend couldn't look at it. Because, it was his penis. And everyone was in silence. My brain was working for finding an appropriate word to get rid of the awkward atmosphere. So, I found myself saying, you don't want me to lick it, right? I know what you're thinking. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything, but it was too late. On the other hand, everyone laughed, and I was like, woof. Yeah. Basically, to sum up, I was saying I like naked sauna parties. Yeah. Okay, whatever. After Prague, I headed to Poland. Both in Germany and Poland, I met with my good friends from South Korea. So, even though I wanted to take a trip to see my Finnish boy, it ended up a great experience for me. While you're traveling alone, you gain so much self-esteem. Besides knowing new people, seeing new cultures. That's why it was amazing for me. Moreover, it was an opportunity for me to forget both my crush. But life doesn't work like this. Even though I didn't contact him for more than a month, eventually I found myself to talk to them again. Still, it wasn't the same. For my Turkish crush, no one knew that we were hooking up. That's why in public or in the group, we were hiding it. But I didn't want to hide anything. You know the feeling that you're having a lot of fun with your friends and among this joyful atmosphere. You just want to be close to your crush. Maybe sitting on his lap or kissing him for a moment. But I couldn't do that. Seeing every common friend we have hanging out with him whenever they wanted easily, I felt like an outsider. I was close to him more than they were, yet he was emotionally and physically distant. And for my Finnish crush, what can I say? He was in Finland and I was in Turkey. End of the story. Yeah, he was just living his life. It went like this more than 8 months. I even traveled to Cuba and Canada for the time being, yet I've always found myself to think of him, even though we don't talk anymore. Cutting my relationship with my Turkish crush wasn't that hard, but being ignored by my Finnish gave me a huge pain. He wasn't just a person that I loved, he was one of my close friends. Whenever something happened, I wanted to tell him, knowing he can understand more than I gave him. Sometimes we discussed books or films, and our conversations were always different than I had with my other friends. I could say literally anything to him without thinking, oh, what if he was gonna think that I'm silly? because he always did and he liked it. But then I lost him. I lost my friend. And the hardest part of it that he didn't care at all. My existence or my absence didn't matter for him. He even didn't miss my friendship. I think he didn't see me even as a good friend. So it irreversibly broke my heart. You see, I traveled around the world and I couldn't get rid of the depression that I have had for months. Then I understood that my problem wasn't about the boys or the relationships. It was about me. I had a problem with myself. I felt constantly lonely and unloved, even though there are numerous people who love me. I was just covering my loneliness feeling with a love triangle. In the past, I was totally ignoring love. And then I started only focusing on love. That was a mistake, because you need to find a balance in everything. Imagine a long line. You should stand in the middle of it. Of course, sometimes you can go a little bit further than the center, but you can't living it on the very left side or on the very right side. I mean, you can, but you had better not do. Yeah. So I started walking from the very left side to the center. I took a trip to Cappadocia in Turkey alone, where I always wanted to go with my Finnish, and it changed me. I was like the alchemist who left his land to follow his personal legend and found his treasure in his own land eventually. I was like him because I found my self-esteem and my affection for myself in an unexpected place where they always have been, in myself. But after all, the alchemist should have left this place to find his treasure, shouldn't he? Thank you guys for joining me in this great journey that I have. I hope you'll find your own treasure. Good luck with that. I crossed my finger, but you didn't see it. But I did, I promise. Bye.
Thank you for joining us on another audio adventure right here at Wandertale. Subscribe to our channel to stay tuned for more stories from around the world and share tales with the open-minded, the brave, and the curious.